What is going on, Steeler Nation? This is your man, Big B, Brian Hanley, and welcome to Steelers Almighty, the fastest growing Steelers channel on YouTube. We appreciate everybody out there, man. Thank you guys for your support. We have got a good show lined up for you guys today, man. As always, remember, like, follow, subscribe, all that good stuff. Let's get into what we are talking about, what we need to get talking about here. First things first. Should Justin Fields be QB1? Is that going to be his job? Second, Dan Moore Jr. Is he actually the answer at left tackle? Could that be? Could it be that Dan Moore is the guy? Next, Steelers, man, they got to steal with Zach Frazier, man. I don't even think that it's up for debate on how good this guy is. It's week one, and he's a rookie. But just looking at everything, man, we got a good one in Zach Frazier. Last but not least, the wide receiver room, man. It's bad. It's bad. And I'm not sure what it is that we can do to fix it right now. Just not sure what it is that's out there that we can fix, but we'll see. We're going to take a look at all that and more. So, again, man, weekly you can find us on this podcast on youtube.com/Steelers Almighty. Anywhere that you have social media, you can find Steelers Almighty. And if you prefer the audio version of this, anywhere that you get a podcast, you can find Steelers Almighty. So appreciate everybody in here. Remember, like, follow, subscribe, continue to leave those comments. Love it. And hit that notification bell so you know exactly when Steelers Almighty is coming out. Let's get into the show, people. So first, should Justin Fields keep the job? First off, let's start here. Russell Wilson isn't healthy, okay? Mike Tomlin has come out and said that Russell Wilson is not healthy, and he doesn't even want to deal with anybody if they're not available. It almost sounded like Mike Tomlin was mad about it. I didn't understand that at his press conference, but yeah, it just don't even talk to me about it. He's not healthy. He can't practice. So as of right now, Justin Fields is the guy who's going to start, and they're going to continue to work with Russell Wilson, to get him healthy if he's going to be the starter. I guess my first question is, if he is healthy, should he be the starter? As a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, let's just be honest. What have we even seen Russell Wilson do? Like, what has he done? Like, he was in OTAs, okay? That was in shorts and helmets. What about minicamp? Yeah, again, shorts and helmets. Yeah, training camp gets here. He gets hurt before practice even starts. So he didn't take any of those reps. He plays in one preseason game where he didn't look great. He plays one series, throws two passes in the next one. It was against backups. Some of those guys that we were playing against the Lions didn't even make the Lions football team. So what have we actually seen him do that just screams, we got to go with Russell Wilson? I don't think anything, and I'm not even saying that Justin Fields has been the world's greatest quarterback, but at least we have seen it, and we definitely have seen it in a real game. Now let's get to this. First things first, the comparison between the two, look, Justin Fields can do more. He can absolutely do more with his legs, I should say. There were times in that game against Atlanta where, number one, they design run plays that you're not doing with Russell Wilson. You know that for a fact. Number two, there were times that Justin Fields got out of trouble that Russell Wilson is just not capable of doing anymore. Even if healthy, he's not going to be capable of doing it anymore. So my question is, why do you go back to that if you know that there's a calf issue? Because calf issues don't get over in 2 weeks. You don't get over them in 3 weeks. That's just not how it works. It takes a while to get healthy. And for me, it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. The offensive playbook is going to have to open up. Arthur Smith, look, Steelers can't continuously win this way. We beat Atlanta. But if you think you're going to kick 6 field goals and beat the majority of teams in this football league, Heck, you won't beat teams in our own division winning that way. Got to score touchdowns. Now they will. So don't want to just be the bearer of bad news. They're going to score some touchdowns, but we got to open the playbook up a little bit more and not play as conservatively. It's just not going to work in today's day and age. Our defense is not going to be able to shut everybody down to 10 points. They're just not going to be able to do that. So the one thing about Justin Fields that I will say, he has got some great chemistry with George Pickens. Heck, George Pickens even said so, during training camp, that those two working together got some great chemistry. So it was good to see. And we saw it against Atlanta. Justin Fields, the deep ball, looked good. What he was throwing. George Pickens looks like he's turning into a superstar. He just needs competent quarterback play. That's what he needs. Competent quarterback play. Nobody says he needs Patrick Mahomes. He just needs competent play. And he got that in Atlanta. While not spectacular, competent. And Pickens looked good. Could have looked even better. So who knows, people? Who knows? So who do you want to start, if both of them were healthy? We took a poll and we asked you guys this question on, who do you want to see start? If both were healthy. I'm not talking about what the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to do. I'm not talking about any of that. I'm strictly only talking about what you want. If Russell Wilson is healthy and if Justin Fields is healthy. So bringing that up, Justin Fields, he got 31%. Russell Wilson, 69%. So a lot of you out there still want Russell Wilson to start. I'm kind of leaning the other way. I'll be honest. I just think, now granted, you can call me biased. For a lot of you that have been around since we started this thing, April 4th of this year, you know that I have said that I want Justin Fields to win the job and he could be the quarterback for the next decade. I have said that. Well, he didn't win the job. He got the job based off of injury. But so I don't know. I still want Fields. I want to see what he can do. And I think it's more because I don't want to see Russell Wilson out there at 65%, because that's not going to help us. It's football time now, people. We're not talking about OTAs and training camp. It's time to win. And I don't need my quarterback out there at 65% and not being able to move around. I don't need that. That's not going to help us. So that's why I lean towards Fields. Either way, let's get to the real poll question here. So let's pull this bad boy up. Poll. Who do you want to see start at quarterback in week 2 at the Broncos? Again, if both are healthy, we know that Russell Wilson, as of this moment, is not healthy. But if things change, who do you want to see start week 2? A, Russell Wilson, B, Justin Fields. I'll go flat out tell you, I want to see Fields. I have no qualms about it, but I think it's a good question because if they're both healthy, who do you want to see? Not Mike Tomlin, you. Let's move on, people. So all are going to laugh at me for this, but is Dan Moore actually the guy at left tackle? Now, I don't know that there's been a bigger critic of Dan Moore Jr. and his play over the last 3 years than yours truly. I've said he stinks. I said he can't play left tackle. I think he should have been moved to guard. I think he's a backup. Well, Dan Moore started a football game on Sunday, and Dan Moore Jr. played pretty daggone well. Now, Pro Football Focus had Dan Moore Jr. rated as the worst offensive tackle in football last year. You've heard me say this a million times, and I'll continue to say it. We can only use PFF as a tool. We can only use it as a tool, and it has to be consistent, because you can't say, well, we don't believe that Dan Moore Jr. is the worst tackle in football based on PFF, and then turn around and say, hey, PFF says TJ Watt's the best player in football. Got to be consistent. So we watched Dan Moore Jr., though, with our own eyes. We saw his play. And let's just be honest, people. Last year, it was just bad. It just was, That's not bashing players. That's not bashing the Steelers. If we can't be honest as fans, then what are we doing? It wasn't very good football. However, the Steelers have this undying loyalty to this man, which I don't know why, but maybe it's paying off because what we looked at, again, I'll go back to PFF. He was rated the 15th best tackle. And we watched with our own eyes what Dan Moore Jr. did against Atlanta. It was pretty damn good. It was. Now, I'm not saying Atlanta has these crazy pass rushers, and they don't. Anytime Matthew Judon, if he was lined up over him, which wasn't that often, Matthew Judon is finished. At least at this point, maybe it's going to take him a few games to get warmed up or whatever. So they don't have any good outside pass rushers. Their pass rush and what they do on the defensive line comes from the inside. But either way, even in the run game, Dan Moore Jr. was really good against Atlanta. Give the man credit. And Broderick Jones brought in to be the left tackle. Well, he's not. And you could say, okay, it was injury, Troy Fautanu, but he hadn't even been working there all the time. And I don't care. Franchises don't say, hey, our best left tackle, the guy that's our franchise left tackle, we're going to move him over to right tackle because the right tackle's hurt. Who does that? Nobody does that, man. But look at Dan Moore. Look in this game. He played well. And Broderick Jones can't beat him out. Now, maybe that's going to change. Look, Dan Moore's limited this week. Ankle swelling. He got hurt in the game. And they're talking about Troy Fautanu being the guy at right tackle. He's been getting first-team reps, which obviously Broderick Jones is over at left tackle. Now, is it going to stay this way the rest of the year? I don't know. We'll see what happens as this thing progresses. I don't know, man. Can Dan Moore actually win the job? Now, here's a theory, and it's not a conspiracy theory. There have been a ton of people that have said Troy Fautanu is actually a guard in the NFL. That's his natural position is left guard. Now, I know we got Isaac and he's hurt, but that's what people are saying because he's only 6'3", let's call it 6'3 and a half. Now, there have been plenty of guys that have played in the National Football League at left tackle that are 6'3". As long as you have the arm length and the athleticism, you can play. Okay? It's just that simple. You can play. But that's what people are saying. Would the Steelers do that? Would they move Fautanu inside the guard and keep Dan Moore Jr. out there and keep Broderick at right tackle? Do you think? The first thing is Isaac's coming back, so I would doubt that that's the plan. But in the future, maybe it is. I don't know. Like I said, it's a conspiracy theory, or it's not a conspiracy theory, I should say. That's what people have talked about. Now, I don't think the Steelers would draft this guy. Matter of fact, I don't think they drafted him to play him at guard. Not that high. There's no reason to draft him that high and then put the guy at guard, play him at guard, if you didn't believe he could actually be a tackle. So I think that's probably still the plan. All I'm saying is, Dan Moore Jr., congratulations, young man. You're making this job for the Pittsburgh Steelers a lot harder than what it probably needs to be. Good for you. And you know what's also good? If Dan Moore Jr. is playing well, that's good for the Steelers. And as you know, Big D, I always say the same thing. I don't care who you are. I don't care where you come from. As long as you can produce on the football field for the team that I love, who is the Pittsburgh Steelers, then damn it, that's all I care about. Boom. End of story. Don't care about anything else. So good for you, Dan Moore Jr. Good for you. Let's pull up the poll question here. So on the poll, what is Troy Fautanu's best route to starting for the Steelers in 2024? I think this is a great question, people. A, is it beating out Broderick Jones? B, is it beating out Dan Moore Jr.? C, filling in for Isaac Seumalo? Or D, an injury to somebody at either tackle spot, which I don't even like that answer, that question. I don't like that at all because I'm knocking on everything because we don't want any more injuries. We've had our fill, so we don't need any more. But those are your answers, people. What do you think Troy Fautanu's best route to a starting role for the Steelers is in 2024. Make sure you leave your answers in the comments and let us know which poll question you're answering, by the way. Let's move on. So halftime. Woo! Okay, people. First of all, I want to thank all you guys again. We just went over 2,500 subscribers. We started this thing April 4th. Thank everybody for everything that you guys have done, man. You've been incredible. You have literally been incredible with the support. It's not for everybody. We've had some people literally get on and tell us that they're unsubscribing. That's okay. That's okay. I mean, everybody doesn't have to like everybody. I get it. But I appreciate everybody that does. I appreciate your feedback, good and bad. I appreciate the back and forth. We absolutely love it here at Steelers Almighty and want to thank you. You see right there, that's our schedule. If you guys, we got the scouting report that came out. People were asking me about that. Were we going to do it? And I said, yeah. And you guys responded. Y'all love that scouting report video. We're going to do it each and every week. We're trying to get somebody that covers the team that we play. We're trying to get them on an interview each and every week. Sometimes it's easy. Sometimes it's more difficult. But we're going to still try to do it. But either way, we're going to have the scouting report on what we believe the Steelers need to do to win the football game and who's going to win. So appreciate all that. Again, we got the hotline out there for you guys to call, 412-444-8390. Make sure you guys are calling in. The only person that has called in here in the last 2 weeks, and he's called in several times, is to say that it's mad at me about Mike Tomlin and saying that Mike Tomlin's the best coach that we've had since Chuck Noll. That's been the only message. And he's might have left 7 of them to keep saying that. And my first thought was, well, we've only had one other coach, and that coach won a damn Super Bowl. The same number that Mike Tomlin has, and he's been to the same number of Super Bowls that Mike Tomlin has. I don't know. And again, I'm not saying that Cowher's better than Tomlin or vice versa. I'm just saying there's only been one other coach, and he's won a Super Bowl just like Mike Tomlin. So you guys remember, call that in. And literally on this podcast, if you call in, I will put you on the show. That's what I'm telling you. If you call in and leave a message, your name, your email address, where you're calling from, and your YouTube user ID, I will literally play it and put it on this show. That's what I'm telling you. So make sure you guys start calling in. Let's move on. So Zach Frazier, Steelers got to steal with him, man. If you paid any attention, again, we did some film study that came out. You guys love that video too, by the way. I appreciate it. We did a film study on the offensive line, which we're going to do each and every week. Zach Frazier did his work. Yeah. Zach Frazier got after it, people. Now, look, let's not go overboard. One game, first game as a rookie. There's going to be some bad games from Zach Frazier. So we can't get too excited either way. But again, we can only report on what we see. And what we saw against the Atlanta Falcons was him doing work. Now, look, I mentioned it before. The Falcons got a nasty defensive line, a nasty one. Interior defensive line, that is. Crafty, strong veterans that know how to play football. And Zach Frazier got after him. And what I mean got after him, not just during the play. He has that nasty, that edge after the play. He's a wrestler. And wrestlers have an edge. They just do. I'm not saying nobody else does, but I know a wrestler does. And he played that way. Great fundamentals, scrappy, stayed engaged. That's what you need. Look, is he on his way to being one of the better Steelers centers or another great Steelers center? Maybe. We'll see. Again, it's early, but I don't think there's a reason that he can't. The one thing that I liked is he got better as the game went on. As the game went on, Zach Frazier got better. I mean, look at him here. This double team. And then the fight, the push, the man, I just, like I said, I love it. I love the nastiness that he played with, that attitude. So he'll mix it up more times than he won't. I guess that's a better question. So more times than he won't, he's going to mix it up. So such an improvement over Mason Cole. Look, this is not to bash Mason Cole. I don't even believe it's Mason Cole's fault. Mason Cole wasn't a starting center in the National Football League, but he came to Pittsburgh and became the starting center. That's not Mason Cole's fault. He was put in this position that he shouldn't have been in. But let's stop talking about that. Let's talk about Zach Frazier. We got him now. He's our starting center moving forward. And like I said, after one game, he could very well be on his way to being the next great Steelers center. Could very well be on his way. I love it. I think he's, like I said, I talked about this. I think he's got the attitude. I think he's got the mentality. He's got the build. Got to fix those snaps, though. I mean, look, that's another thing about him. His very first snap in the National Football League in a real game, fumble. Now, I get it. 50% on him, 50% on Fields, but can't happen. Got to get that fixed. But look at this right here. That's what I'm talking about, the engagement, the nastiness. His guy's shuffling, and he is not going to allow his man to get across his face. He's just not going to allow it. He's going to stay engaged. I love it, man. Good job. Good job. We got another good one, man. I'll just say that. We've got another good center on our hands, the Pittsburgh Steelers with Zach Frazier. Let's move on. Look, I don't want to talk like this. I don't want to be like this, but you guys know me and you know the channel. You know that we talk honestly about the Pittsburgh Steelers. We love them. We want to win every game, but we got to be honest. The wide receiver room is atrocious. There's no other way. There are still concerns. And to be honest with you, I'm not sure where help is coming. I'm just not sure. Now, the one thing that I will say is that Roman Wilson being out is a problem. We got to get him back and get him as healthy as possible. I think Roman Wilson was on his way to starting for the Pittsburgh Steelers week 1. I believe it. Week 1. Why? Good route runner. Fast, tough, physical, blocks, all that stuff. I just think that he was on his way. And we saw it early in camp until he got hurt. We saw all of that stuff. I like Roman Wilson. And I think that's why the Steelers didn't go out of their way to go get other wide receivers. They thought, you know what? Roman Wilson can be that guy. We've got enough backups. We'll be fine. Because outside of George Pickens, let's just be honest. Steelers have a collection of number 3 wide receivers, number 3 and 4 wide receivers. If you can't be honest about that, then come on. What are we doing? We know that. I'm not even saying that that's a bad thing. I'm just telling you that's the truth. We have a collection of number 3 and number 4 behind George Pickens. Now, let's dig into that a little bit. Van Jefferson was never going to be the answer, and he is not the answer. He's not. Look, we saw it. I guess the first pass that came his way, I understand. He had 1 catch for 1 yard. He could have easily had 10 yards on the pass that Justin Fields just threw in the dirt. He was wide open, got free, and Fields just completely missed him. So that's not his fault. But he's not the answer. And I think we can all just talk about that and say that's okay. We just got to get somebody else. If Roman Wilson can get back, maybe he's the answer. And maybe a different plan, offensive strategy will help Van Jefferson. But we saw him out there blocking, and it didn't look good. It just didn't look good. Roman Wilson is miles better as a blocker just because he's a willing, more physical blocker. And I don't think that's Van Jefferson's job, but he's got to do it. Good for him for sticking his nose in there, but we're going to need somebody in that position. Now, when I mentioned there's no outlets or any refuge coming for the wide receiver room, it's just who do you want to go get that's available, that's out there? I just don't know. You could try to make a trade for somebody on a team. I know people talked about Mechie and Traylon Burks. That's just not happening, man. Not right now. Maybe we get down the road closer to the trade deadline. Things like that can happen. But week 2, I'm sorry. And Michael Thomas is not the answer. So we got to let that go. We got to let some of that stuff go. So Roman Wilson is just a better route runner than everybody on the team besides George Pickens. So that's who I believe is the answer. It's tough because you're telling me a rookie that missed all of training camp is the answer? Well, yeah, I think it is. And George Pickens is a star. So let's make no mistake about it. He is an absolute star. Should Calvin Austin III, should he get more reps? I don't know. He can't be worse than what we saw on Sunday. I do know that. Now, part of that is scheme, but part of it, guys weren't open. I mean, we got to be honest. I just want everybody to be transparent and know that I'm being transparent. I love the Steelers, but the wide receiver room is a mess. Ben Skoron, look, the problem with Calvin Austin is him trying to block on the edge is going to be a problem. We brought in Ben Skoranek to be physical. He got 0 offensive snaps. You played him on special teams, and he didn't have a good special teams day. You can go look at the data on that. It wasn't great. So, okay, how about you let him go block the edge? And I know what people are going to say. You bring in Skoranek, people are going to know you're running the ball. I'm sorry, man, this is football. This is high-level football. Sometimes you got to be able to do something when teams know that you're going to do it. And when people know you're going to run the football, you still have to be able to run the football. It's just the way that it works. So maybe you bring him in to be more physical. I mean, he's 6'3", 225. That can work on the edge. Calvin Austin, not going to work on the edge. Van Jefferson, not going to work on the edge. So cutting off a safety backside or cutting off anything, that's just not going to work. So, and again, it's not their fault. That's just not what they do well. So, and if we're going to be a running football team, like it seems like we want to be, you got to have receivers that can block the edge. You got to have that. So let's go to the poll question here, people. And this one, and I'm going to challenge you a little bit on this one. Who's the best healthy wide receiver outside of George Pickens that the Steelers have? A, Calvin Austin III, B, Van Jefferson, C, Scotty Miller, or D, Ben Skoranek. Now, let me ask another question. and there's going to be some of y'all that get mad at me for this. It is what it is. If this wide receiver room that you're looking at right here, now again, George Pickens aside, if this wide receiver room belonged to the Browns, what would you say it was? If it were on the Bengals or if the Ravens had it, what would you say about it? And you can be truthful. What would you say about it? If these 4 guys were a collection of the 2 guys besides the star, what would you say? That's all I'm talking about, people. It's going to be tricky. It's going to be tricky. And I think the offense is designed, let's throw to the tight end, let's throw to the backs, let's throw to Pickens. And every now and then, we're going to throw it over to these guys. So if we can win like that, great. I'll take it. Y'all know me. I'm just not sure I'm not sure it's sustainable. You can win some games. You can get by. Heck, we just did. But I'm not sure it's sustainable for anything other than what we've seen the last 7 years, man. Possibly get to the playoffs, be right on the fringe, and not be able to get any further. Because teams, when it gets to that level, they take away your best option. They just do. And then you got to counter and do something else. Can we counter with that? I don't know. Long season, we can all get better. Let's hope for the best. Let's hope for the best. Now, look, man, as much as I have bashed on Dan Moore Jr., Dan Moore Jr. is fighting back. And I say, good for you, my man. Good for you. Fight back. Don't let them take your job. They brought in a tackle last year. He couldn't take your job at left tackle. They brought in another guy and wanted to move Broderick Jones over. You know what? I know Fautanu got hurt, but you know what? I'm playing well. You got to make a different decision. What are you going to do? Because I'm playing pretty well over here. Look, I've said it before. I'll say it continuously. Whoever, as long as you're playing well for the Pittsburgh Steelers, I will take it. And right now, Dan Moore Jr., and again, I'm not talking about just this one game. He's done it all off season. He played well. Long season, got a lot more to go. I 100% understand that. But for what we see right now, Dan Moore is okay. He's been better than okay. He's been pretty good. He has been pretty good. I'm going to be interested to see, number one, does he play this week? But what happens in the future when all three tackles are healthy? Then what? What do we do? Somebody's got to go to the bench. They all can't play. So I've heard like I said, some rumors of possibly moving Fautanu to left guard, but I don't think that's the long-term plan anyway, so I don't think they're going to do that. I know there's some truth to getting your 5 best offensive linemen out on the field and then figuring it out from there, but we'll see if that happens with Pittsburgh. All I know is to say what's up to Dan Moore Jr., give him a thumbs up. The guy's been doing all right, man. As much as the entire city, maybe even the entire league, have bashed him over the last 3 years, if we're going to do that, we also got to be willing to say when the man's playing well. And right this very second, the man is playing well. Thank you guys, man. I appreciate everybody for being in here. Again, find Steelers Almighty anywhere that you get a podcast if you prefer the audio version, on YouTube at youtube.com/Steelers Almighty. Anywhere you have social media, you can find Steelers Almighty. Remember to continue to like, follow, subscribe, leave those comments. I love the back and forth. And remember to hit that notification bell because now that we're in the season, we have content coming out all the time. We appreciate it. We love you. Thank you. And aloha.